Welcome to Blue Line Mental Health. I'm glad you're here. If you haven't already, please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of our new content we share. Warning: this channel may contain material that is graphic and could potentially be a trigger for some. Viewer discretion is advised. Don't say I didn't warn you. Welcome to the Blue Line Mental Health Executive Command Staff Interview Series. I'm thrilled to bring you an in-depth conversation with Chief Heather WURTH of the Shorewood Police Department. Today, we will delve into the vital topic of law enforcement mental health amid the evolving demands from the community and political landscape. Chief WURTH will share her invaluable perspective on the impacts of these changes on the stress and mental well-being of our officers. We'll explore how mental health support for law enforcement has transformed over the years, and most importantly, where it needs to go. This discussion is not just a message for law enforcement officers, but for the entire community, as we navigate together towards a more supportive and understanding future. Let's dive in.
So my name's Heather WURTH. I've been in law enforcement going on 31 years now, 32 years now. I can date myself, but first 28 years my career spent in Milwaukee Police Department. I retired in 2020 and took about a year and a half off after I left law enforcement, went to the private sector. In 2022, I went back into law enforcement as the chief of the Shorewood Police Department. And coming in May, I have been there 3 years as their police chief. Yeah. So, of course, in Milwaukee, we had, 1,600 officers and large agency. I mean, I've got a fraction of that, like 100% less than that. I'm not good at math, so don't quote me on the percentage there. But we have 25 total sworn officers that include supervisors and myself. So it's a very, very small agency. And like I mentioned, we don't have all the specialty units. We don't have the ability to ride motorcycles or to work on task forces and those types of things. So, the challenge in a smaller agency is how do you motivate people to continually do their job when they don't have advancement opportunities such as promotion or special assignments. And the truth is that motivation has to be intrinsic, right? That our officers have to find it within themselves to continually develop themselves, their career, and look for opportunities that they can engage in education or training and make positive contributions to the agency. Now, I mentioned some of the scrutiny that we're under, and what's really important about that and our way to combat that and have a professional organization is that our officers are they're professionally trained, and that they're continual learners. Law enforcement policing is advancing every single day by leaps and bounds. Certainly from my time when I started in 1992 to now, I mean, we've seen myriad changes in law enforcement, and there's always this expectation that we're going to continue to grow, that we're going to continue to evolve, and our officers have to do the same. So the motivation has to be within themselves, that they're going to continue to develop their skill sets, everything from tactical skill sets to social skill sets and everything in between. In a smaller agency, also, we have to rely on each other that much more. I mean, we are truly a family, a small family because we're much smaller in size, but we don't have the breadth of support internally that we might in a large agency. So, our relationships, our camaraderie internally is something that's certainly different as well. And then, just the sheer size of or lack of size in the village of Shorewood. I mean, we're only 1.9 square miles apart. So, we often find ourselves in situations where it might seem boring. And of course, in law enforcement, you have 90% of your time is boredom, driving around and patrolling, and then 10% of sheer excitement when you get that call. And that's not unlike Shorewood, but we just don't have the frequency of that. But some distinct changes, but I think law enforcement, regardless of the size of the agency, shares a lot of commonalities with the calls that you respond to, the people who are drawn to law enforcement, community support, those types of things. So. Not unlike any other law enforcement agency, we are fortunate in the village of Shorewood not to experience the levels of violent crime that many other communities face. Yeah, we certainly have had our share of violent calls. We've had a non-fatal shooting. We've had a homicide. Just last week or 2 weeks ago, we had a bank robbery. Fortunately, non-violent bank robbery, but we, like I said, are very fortunate not to experience high levels of violent crime. So we predominantly deal with thefts, motor vehicle thefts, thefts of packages, retail thefts, those types of things. Those are really driving our calls for service. And of course, we respond to calls of individuals experiencing mental crisis, unhoused individuals having mental crisis is a call that we respond to quite frequently in the village of Shorewood as well. I'd like to say that, particularly in Shorewood, that our officers are serving the community. We are a very community-driven agency, and it's something that I profess to all of my officers that's ultimately who we serve, is the community. We're there for their protection, for their safety, and to bolster public support, community relationships, those types of things. But the truth is, we serve everybody. We serve those who hire us and fund us, because they have viewpoints of what they expect from our police department, and so to serve their needs and requests, we serve the public, and we serve each other as well. I mean, especially in smaller agencies, well, in any agency, any law enforcement agency, we're responsible to one another. We ride in one-person units, so our backup is literally the next officer working with you. We don't have an additional officer in the car to respond to assignments, so being able to back each other up and respond to calls and do what needs to be done, especially in a smaller community. So serving each other is really important as well. I don't know that the rank had anything so much to do with that. One of the great things when I worked in Milwaukee, and certainly as a captain, we were given a lot of autonomy. So we were able to make decisions that I'm not sure other captains before me had the ability to do. So I really appreciated that, and I think that it really helped develop my skill sets to achieve the next rank of chief. But decisions from being able to manage shift assignments, of off days, of equipment, of building improvements, so on and so forth. So a lot of that is very similar to a chief. I didn't have as much control over the budget as a captain that I do now as the chief. So those decisions are a little bit different and a little bit more advanced. And, I was fortunate in Milwaukee to have worked for the office of the chief. So I was able to see a lot of the inner workings of some of the decisions that I'm now obligated to make as the chief. So the exposure to that and to working so closely with a couple of the chiefs really helped. I think really helped for me to ascend to the position of chief. Ah, not really, not really. I mean, I mentioned it a little bit, you know, the volume of calls that we respond to. And I think, I mean, perhaps in line with that, one of the stark differences is we just don't have the repetition in calls, especially violent calls, that we did in Milwaukee. So when we've had to respond to those calls, our practice is a little rusty sometimes, but I think our officers fall back into doing exactly what needs to be done and why it needs to be done and ensuring scene integrity and those types of things. But we don't have the volume of practice like an agency in Milwaukee or some other larger agencies might have. I think that's probably one of the biggest differences.
Thank you for watching this video on our channel. If you found this content meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share to spread awareness and make a difference, one step at a time.